Chapter 1. When Smiles Were Real. Alina was 27 years old. She lived in New York with her mother and father. Her father's name was Peter. Her mother's name was not known by many because she was a quiet woman. But for Alina, she was the most important person in the world. They were not rich. They were not poor. But they were happy. Every day felt safe. Every night felt warm. Her family was her home. Her mother was her best friend. Her father was her guide. Alina felt proud when she looked at them. She often thought, "What else do I need in this life? I have them, that is enough." Her morning started with her mother calling her for breakfast. They ate together, laughed about small things, and shared plans for the day. Her father read the newspaper, but always joined their talks. He teased his daughter, and she teased him back. Life was simple, but it was beautiful. After her studies, Alina started working as a teacher in a small school. She loved children, but even more, she loved the thought of returning home after school. For her, happiness was not money, not big houses, but sitting with her parents at the table. She told them, "You are my world. If you are with me, I am strong." On weekends, they went out together. Sometimes they went to movies. Sometimes they just walked in the park. Sometimes they drove to nearby towns to eat at small restaurants. They made memories without even trying. Alina's bond with her mother was special. She told her everything. She shared her fears, her dreams, and her little secrets. When she was sad, her mother hugged her and said, "You will be fine. I am here." When she was happy, her mother clapped her hands and said, "I knew you could do it." Her father was different but loving. He was serious in some ways, but he listened. He gave her advice, sometimes strict, sometimes soft. He told her, "Alina, life is not always easy, but you must be brave." She always smiled and said, "I will be brave because you are with me." Evenings were the best. After school, Alina came home and sat with her parents. They ate dinner together, told stories, and sometimes played small games. Her mother asked her about her day. Her father told her about his work. They laughed, sometimes argued, but always ended with love. One evening, Alina said, "I don't want to marry soon. I just want to live with you both." Her father laughed and said, "One day you will find someone." Her mother smiled and said, "We will always be with you." Even then, Alina shook her head and said, "No, I only want you." That night, she went to bed with a full heart. She whispered to herself, "I am lucky. I am blessed. My life is perfect." But life was waiting with a test. A few weeks later, the family planned a short trip. They were happy, excited, and full of energy. Alina was glad because she wanted to spend more time with her parents. She thought, trips are not about where we go. They are about being together. On the trip, they laughed, they ate, they took photos. Alina saw her mother smiling and thought, "She looks so beautiful. I want her with me forever." Her father was also happy, making jokes, holding hands with his wife. But during the trip, everything changed. Her mother suddenly put her hand on her chest. She said softly, "I don't feel good." At first, they thought it was just tiredness. Alina held her hand and said, "Mom, sit down. You will be fine." But the pain grew stronger. Her mother's face turned pale. Peter shouted, "We need help!" But before they could reach anywhere, her mother fell. Alina cried, "Mom, please open your eyes. Please stay with me." Tears rolled down her face. Her mother looked at her once with weak eyes and then closed them forever. That moment broke Alina. She screamed, "No, no, you cannot leave me." Her father tried to hold her, but he too was crying. The world that was so full of joy a few hours ago had turned dark. The trip that began with laughter ended with silence. They returned home without her mother. The house felt empty, the bed was empty, the dining table was empty. The voice of her mother was gone. Days passed, but the pain did not. Alina cried at night. She held her mother's clothes and whispered, "Why did you leave me? How will I live without you?" Her father also sat quietly, lost in his own pain. But Alina tried to be strong. She told her father, "You are my mother and father now. I will take care of you. We will live together. We don't need anyone else." Her words were brave, but her heart was bleeding. Life had changed. The girl who once thought her world was perfect was now standing in a broken world. The smiles that once were real had disappeared. The story of her life was about to take a new turn. Chapter 2: The Day My Sky Fell. The days after the trip were not easy. The house that was once full of life now felt heavy. Alina woke up each morning and expected to hear her mother's voice, but the house stayed silent. She sat at the table with her father, but the chair where her mother once sat remained empty. Her father tried to act strong, but Alina could see the pain in his eyes. He often sat for long hours, saying nothing. Sometimes at night, she could hear him whisper her mother's name. Alina cried in her room, holding her mother's clothes close to her chest. She whispered, "I miss you, Mom. Please come back." Her friends tried to visit her. They asked her to return to normal life. But Alina could not. She told them, "My life is not the same. Nothing feels right without her." She stopped going out. She gave her time to her father. She thought if she stayed close to him, they could heal together. Weeks passed. Alina went back to her job, but it was not the same. She taught the children, but her heart was somewhere else. During class, she sometimes remembered her mother's smile and her voice. She looked out of the window and whispered, "Why so soon? Why did you leave me?" Her father noticed her pain. One night, he sat beside her and said softly, "Alina, I know you miss her. I do too. But we must live." Alina shook her head and said, "I don't want to live without her. You are all I have now. Don't leave me too." Peter held her hand and said, "I am not leaving you." But the truth was that he was not the same. He came home late. He started spending more time outside. He looked lost when he was home. Alina asked him, "Dad, why do you go out so much?" He replied, "I feel lonely. The house reminds me of her." Alina felt hurt. She thought, "I am here, Am I not enough for him? Time went on. One evening, Peter spoke to Alina in a serious tone. You know, life is long. A man needs someone by his side. I feel empty. In Alina's eyes filled with tears, she said, You have me. I will take care of you. Why are you saying this? Peter said nothing more, but his silence gave her fear. Slowly, Alina began to see changes. Her father answered calls late at night. He smiled at messages on his phone. He dressed more carefully before leaving the house. Alina asked, Who are you talking to? He replied quickly, Just a friend from work. Alina's heart sank. She wanted to believe him, but something inside her told her that life was about to change again. One night, she found him sitting with his phone smiling. She said, Dad, you never smiled like this in weeks. Who is it? What? He looked at her and replied, Her name is Agatha. She is kind. She listens to me. She understands my pain. Alina's body shook. She said, I don't need another mother. Please don't do this. Peter sighed and said, I only want peace. I cannot live alone. Alina ran to her room and cried. She said to herself, How can he even think of someone else so soon? Does he not see my pain? Does he not feel my love? Her pillow was wet with tears that night. The next days were harder. Peter started talking more about Agatha. He said, She is kind to me. She is alone too. We both have lost something. Alina shouted, No, Dad. You cannot replace Mom. I will not accept her. He looked down and whispered, I only want a little happiness. Alina felt betrayed. She thought, My sky has already fallen once. Is it falling again? The chapter ends with Alina lying awake, whispering into the dark, Mom, if you were here, you would stop him. You would save me from this pain. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our channel. Learn English by Stories, Chapter 3, Whispers of Loneliness. Alina tried to hold her life together. She woke up, went to school, and returned home. But nothing felt right. Every time she entered the house, she felt her mother's absence. Every time she looked at her father, she felt him slipping away. Peter had changed. He still loved his daughter, but his eyes were somewhere else. He came home late. He answered calls quietly. He looked at his phone and smiled in a way Alina had not seen in months. She wanted to ask more, but her heart already knew the answer. One evening, she sat with him at dinner. She tried to talk. Dad, can we spend more time together? I miss how it used to be. Peter looked at her but stayed silent for a moment. Then he said, I feel empty, Alina. I cannot explain it. This house feels too heavy. Every corner reminds me of your mother. Tears filled Alina's eyes. She said softly, I remind you of her too. Is that why you stay away from me? He looked down and whispered, No, it's not that. It's just I feel lonely. Loneliness became his shadow. He began spending evenings outside. He started dressing better, as if preparing for someone. He told Alina he was going to meet office friends, but his voice gave away something more. One night, Alina gathered courage and asked directly, Is it Agatha? Peter looked surprised but did not deny it. He said, "Yes, she listens. She understands my pain. I feel lighter when I speak to her." Alina's voice shook. "And what about me? Am I nothing? Am I not enough for you?" Her words cut the silence. Peter touched her hand and said, "You will always be my daughter. But you cannot take her place. I need a partner. I cannot live alone forever." She pulled her hand back and cried, "Mom is gone, but she is still my mother. No one can take her place. How can you even think of this?" Her father stood up and walked away. He had no answer. The next days were worse. Peter openly spoke about Agatha. He said things like, "She understands me. She knows how hard it is for me." Lena felt invisible. She thought, "I am right here. Why does he not see me?" One afternoon, she came home early from school and found Peter sitting with Agatha in the living room. They were laughing. Alina stood frozen at the door. Her father looked up and tried to explain, but the image was already burned in her heart. That night, she locked herself in her room. She cried into her pillow, "Mom, he is slipping away from me. What should I do? Please guide me." The whispers of loneliness were now louder than ever. Peter felt lonely without his wife, but Alina felt lonely even while living with her father. She tried once more. She said to him the next morning, "Dad, please stop. Please don't bring her between us. We can live together. We can make it work." He looked at her, his face tired, and said, "I need her, Alina. You will understand one day." Her heart shattered again. She realized that nothing she said could change him. The man who once promised to protect her now wanted someone else to fill the empty space. That night, she whispered to herself, "My mother gave me love, and now she is gone. My father gave me love, and now he is giving it to someone else. Where do I belong?" The whispers of loneliness filled her soul. She was still living with her father, but she felt like a guest in her own home. Chapter 4. A stranger at our table. The talk about Agatha did not stop. Every day, Peter spoke about her more. He told Alina how kind she was, he said. "She listens to me. She makes me feel alive again." Each time he said it, Alina's heart sank. She thought, "Am I invisible? Do I not love him enough?" One evening, Peter sat down with his daughter. His voice was firm. "Alina, I want you to meet Agatha. She is important to me now." Alina's eyes filled with tears. "Dad, please don't do this to me. I cannot sit at the same table with her. She is not my mother." Peter touched her shoulder but said, "She will not replace your mother. She will only bring peace." The next weekend, Agatha came to their home. Alina's hand shook when she saw her step inside. Agatha smiled politely, but her eyes looked sharp. She said softly, "Hello, Alina. I have heard much about you." Alina forced a reply. "Hello." They sat at the dinner table. For years, that table was only for Alina, her mother, and her father. Now, another woman was sitting there. Alina felt like an outsider in her own home. She ate in silence. Peter tried to make it normal. He said, "Agatha is a good woman. She will care for us." Alina dropped her spoon and said, "For us? Or only for you?" Her father frowned. "Why do you always fight me, Alina? I am only asking you to accept her." Alina's voice broke. "Because she is not my mother. No one can take her place." Agatha smiled, but she said nothing. Her silence spoke louder than words. Weeks passed. Peter spent more time with Agatha. He went out with her, brought her gifts, and spoke about her every day. Alina felt like she was losing her father too, just like she lost her mother. One night, Peter called her to the living room. "Alina, I have decided I am going to marry Agatha." Alina's chest tightened. She shouted, "No, please, Dad. Don't do this. We can live together. I can take care of you. I don't need another mother." Tears rolled down her face. Peter looked at her and said coldly, "But I need someone. You will understand one day." Alina cried all night. She spoke to the photo of her mother. "Mom, he is leaving me. He is choosing her. Why can't he see my love?" 3 weeks later, Peter married Agatha. The ceremony was simple, but for Alina, it felt like a wound that would never heal. She watched her father smile at another woman. She stood alone, broken, whispering to herself, "My father has left me," even while standing next to me. When they came back home, everything was different. Agatha walked in as if she owned the place. She put her bag on the table where Alina once placed flowers for her mother. She looked around and said, "This will be our home now." Alina stood quietly. She wanted to scream, but no words came. Her father put his arm around Agatha and smiled. He did not notice his daughter's tears. That night, Alina lay in bed. She closed her eyes and said softly, "Mom, the table where we once sat is no longer ours. A stranger has taken your place. My heart is breaking. I don't know how much more I can bear." Her life had taken another turn. She had lost her mother to death. Now she was losing her father to a stranger. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our channel. Learn English by Stories, Chapter 5, Thorns Behind the Roses. The first days after the marriage felt strange. Alina tried to stay calm. She told herself, "Maybe I should give her a chance. Maybe things will not be as bad as I fear." But deep inside, she knew the truth. A stranger was now in her house, and that stranger was her father's wife. Agatha acted sweet in the beginning. She smiled at Peter, spoke kindly in front of him, and even pretended to care for Alina. She said things like, "You must be tired, dear. Sit down. I will take care of it." But when Peter left the room, her eyes changed. She looked at Alina with coldness. She said quietly, "This is my house now. Learn to live with it." Alina felt the sting of those words. She wanted to fight back, but she stayed silent. She thought, "If I speak, Dad will not believe me. He will only see her sweet face." Days turned into weeks. Slowly, Agatha began to control everything. She decided what food would be cooked, She moved furniture around. She even took Alina's mother's jewelry and wore it. When Alina saw that, her chest burned. She said softly, "That belongs to my mom." Agatha smiled and replied, "Now it belongs to me." Alina cried in her room that night. She spoke to her mother's photo. "Mom, she is taking everything from you. She is taking everything from me. How can I stop her?" The pain grew when Peter started listening only to Agatha. If Alina wanted something, Agatha would speak first, and Peter would agree with her. If Alina tried to explain, Peter said, "Don't argue. Agatha knows better." Alina felt invisible in her own home. One evening, they had relatives over for dinner. Alina worked hard all day, but Agatha took the credit. She stood in front of everyone and said, "I prepared this meal with love." Peter smiled proudly. The relatives praised her. Alina stayed quiet. Later, Agatha said in a low voice, "See, they love me. No one cares about you." Alina's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "Why are you doing this to me? What did I do to you?" Agatha gave a small laugh and said, "You exist. That is enough." From that day, Alina realized that her stepmother did not want her. She wanted her gone. Every small thing turned into a reason for insult. If the food was late, Agatha blamed her. If the house was not perfect, Agatha shouted. When Peter was near, she acted innocent. Peter looked at Alina with anger and said, "Can't you do things right? Agatha works so hard and you don't." Alina felt like screaming, "It's me who does everything." But she stayed silent. She thought, "If I speak, he will not trust me. He will only believe her." One night when Peter was asleep, Agatha entered Alina's room. She said in a sharp tone, "Leave this house. Go live your own life. This house is mine and your father's." Alina shook her head and replied, "I will not leave my father. He is all I have." Agatha leaned close and whispered, "He is not yours anymore. He is mine." Those words cut her heart. She could not sleep that night. She hugged her pillow and whispered, "Mom, please give me strength. I don't know how much more I can bear." The next morning, Peter scolded Alina for no reason. He said, "You must respect Agatha. She is part of this family. Stop behaving like a child." Alina looked at him with tears. "Dad, I am not a child. I am your daughter. Why can't you see what she is doing to me?" But Peter turned away. Every day felt heavier. Alina still went to her job, but her smile was gone. At school, the children asked, "Teacher, why are you sad?" She forced a smile and said, "I am fine." But inside she was breaking. One evening, she spoke to Justin, her boyfriend. She told him everything. He listened carefully. Then he said, "You must be strong. Don't let her destroy you. I am here for you." Alina's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "You are the only one who understands me." And Justin held her hand and said, "I promise I will not let you fall." One day you will be free from this pain. One day you will be stronger than them. Those words gave her some hope. But when she returned home, Agatha's eyes reminded her that the fight was not over. The roses Peter thought he had brought into the house had thorns, and those thorns were piercing Alina every single day. Chapter 6, The Letters That Burned My Heart. Life inside the house was becoming unbearable. Alina tried to ignore her stepmother's words, but each day brought new pain. Agatha found ways to push her down. She gave her more work. She spoke against her in front of Peter. And Peter, blinded by love, stood on Agatha's side every time. One afternoon, Alina was cleaning her father's study. She opened a drawer to put some files away. Inside, she found a small wooden box. She thought it was just papers, but when she lifted the lid, her heart froze. Inside were letters tied with a ribbon. Along with the letters were small gifts, a chain, a pen, a card. Her hands shook as she opened the first letter. It was Agatha's handwriting. The date was from 4 years ago. That was when her mother was still alive. Alina read slowly. Peter, you know my heart is only yours. One day we will be together. Until then, I will wait. Her breath stopped. She opened another letter. I feel jealous when I see you with her, but I know our time will come. Don't lose hope. Tears filled Alina's eyes. She dropped the papers on the floor and whispered, No, this cannot be true. She fell to her knees. Mom never knew. Dad was already in love with her. Her chest felt heavy. She pressed her hand to her mouth to stop a scream. She thought, the man I trusted betrayed my mother. He betrayed me. She closed the box quickly and ran to her room. She sat on the floor, holding her head in her hands. She cried for hours. She whispered again and again, Why, Dad? Why did you do this to Mom? How could you do this to us? At night, when Peter knocked on her door, she wiped her tears. He said, Are you okay? She looked at him with red eyes and said, Yes. But inside she wanted to shout, I know your truth. The next day, she met Justin. She told him everything. She gave him the letters. His eyes filled with anger. He said, he was already with her. While your mother was alive? Alina nodded. Her voice was broken. Yes, he betrayed us. Justin held her hands tightly. Listen to me, Alina. You are not guilty. You did nothing wrong. It was his mistake, not yours. Alina cried harder. But he is my father. I don't know how to live with this truth. Yeah. Justin said, You don't have to forgive him now. Just be strong. Focus on your life. I am with you. His words gave her a little strength. She leaned on his shoulder and whispered, Don't leave me. You are all I have. At home, Agatha's behavior became worse. She knew Alina was breaking. She wanted her out. One evening, she entered Alina's room and said, Your father will never believe you. If you tell him anything, he will laugh at you. So why don't you leave quietly? Alina looked at her with wet eyes and whispered, You destroyed my family. Are you happy now? Agatha smiled coldly. very happy. Alina went to her father later that night. She wanted to tell him about the letters, but when she saw him smiling with Agatha, her voice died. She thought, even if I tell him, he will not believe me. He chose her long ago. The pain was too much. She spent nights crying. At school, she tried to teach, but her hands shook. One day, a child asked, "Teacher, why do you look sad?" She forced a smile and said, "I am fine." But inside, she thought, my life is falling apart. Her only light was Justin. He encouraged her. He said, "Use this pain as your strength. Build your own life. You are stronger than you think." Alina nodded but whispered, "It hurts too much." The letters burned her heart. They changed the way she looked at her father. The man she trusted the most was the man who had broken her world. She thought of her mother every night. "Mom, if you knew, your heart would have broken. Maybe it is better you never knew. But I know, and it is killing me." Chapter 7. When walls of trust crumbled, the truth of the letters never left Alina's mind. She looked at her father and saw betrayal. She looked at Agatha and saw cruelty. Her life at home had turned into quiet suffering. Every day felt heavier than the last. Agatha grew stronger in the house. She decided what was done, and Peter followed her. Alina was no longer asked. She was treated like a guest in her own home. Sometimes she whispered to herself, "This is not my family anymore. This is their house, not mine." Then came a change. Peter's business started to fall. First, it was a small loss. Then another deal failed. He tried to hide it, but Alina saw the worry on his face. At night, she heard him speaking on the phone, begging for more time. She asked him, "Dad, is everything okay?" He replied quickly, "It's fine. Don't worry." But she knew it was not fine. Agatha also knew. At first, she acted sweet. She told Peter, "Don't stress, things will be better soon." But slowly her behavior changed. She started complaining. She said, "Why do you look tired? Why are you failing?" "I did not marry a poor man." Alina heard those words one night. She felt anger rise inside her. She wanted to shout, "Now you see who she really is." But she stayed silent. Weeks passed. The situation grew worse. Creditors came to the house. Peter was humiliated. Agatha stopped hiding her feelings. She shouted at him, "You promised me comfort. You promised me a good life. I did not come here to suffer." Peter begged her, "Please, Agatha, stay with me. I will fix everything." But she shook her head. "I cannot live like this. I don't want a broken man." Alina watched it all. Her heart was torn. She wanted to feel pity for her father, but she remembered the letters. She whispered to herself, "This is the price of betrayal. This is what he chose." One evening, Agatha packed her bags. She took money, jewelry, and even some things that belonged to the house. She left a short note on the table. It said only one line, "I cannot live in poverty." When Peter read the note, he broke. He sat on the floor and cried loudly. "She left me, she left me. His voice echoed through the house. Alina stood in the doorway watching. She felt pain, but also truth. She thought she never loved him. She loved his money. And now she is gone. Peter looked at his daughter with red eyes. Alina, I am alone. What do I do now? Alina's voice shook. You had me all along, Dad, but you never saw me. He covered his face with his hands. I was blind. I destroyed everything. I should have cared for you. I should have loved your mother the way she deserved. Tears rolled down Alina's cheeks. She whispered, It's too late to go back, but you can still change now. That night, Peter could not sleep. He walked through the house like a lost man. He touched the chair where his wife once sat. He cried and said, Forgive me. Forgive me for everything. Alina stood at a distance, listening. She wanted to hate him, but he was still her father. She whispered, Mom, if you can hear me, tell me what to do. He is broken. Should I leave him or should I stay? The next morning, Peter looked older. His face was tired, his eyes red. He sat with Alina and said, I have lost everything. I have no money. I have no partner. I only have you, if you still want me. Alina felt her chest tighten. She looked at him and said softly, You still have me. I will not leave you. You are my father. Peter cried again, but this time his tears were mixed with regret and relief. He said, I don't deserve your love, but thank you for giving it. Alina held his hand. For the first time in years, she felt like her words reached him. She thought the walls of trust were broken, but maybe, just maybe, they can be rebuilt. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our channel. Learn English by Stories. Chapter 8, Love That Stayed Till the End. Peter's world had collapsed. The woman he trusted had walked away. His money was gone. His pride was gone. Only regret remained. Alina saw him broken, but she also saw him human again. The strong, proud man was now weak, crying and asking for forgiveness without words. She sat beside him and said, Dad, you always thought Agatha loved you. But she never did. She only wanted your money. And when it was gone, she left you. Peter covered his face with his hands. His voice shook. I was blind, Alina. I left you alone. I chose her over you. I ignored your pain. I broke your trust. I broke your mother's trust. Tears ran down Alina's cheeks. She whispered, Yes, you hurt me. Yes, you hurt Mom. But you are still my father. I cannot leave you. I will stand with you. Peter lifted his head and looked at her. His eyes were red but full of regret. He whispered, You are more than I deserve. Days turned into weeks. Alina became his strength. She handled the bills, she supported him in meetings, and she gave him courage to face people again. Peter often said, I don't know how I would live if you were not here. Alina's life was not easy. She was still working as a teacher, still carrying her pain. But now she had Justin beside her. Justin supported her in every way. He told her, "You are stronger than you think. You carry pain, but you also carry love. That love will heal you." Alina held his hand and said, "You kept me alive, Justin. Without you, I would have fallen." Justin looked at her father with respect. He said, "Peter, you may have lost money. You may have lost trust, but you are lucky. You still have a daughter who loves you more than anything." Peter's eyes filled again. He said softly, "I don't know why she forgives me. I don't know why she cares, but I thank God she does." Slowly, life began to rebuild. Peter was no longer rich, but he was no longer blind either. He gave time to his daughter. He asked about her work. He listened to her words. He often said, "I missed years of your life. I will not miss another moment." Alina began to feel something she thought she had lost forever: peace. She smiled more often. She felt lighter when her father looked at her with love again. She thought, "He finally sees me. He finally values me." Justin remained her rock. With his support, Alina grew in her career. She was respected at her school. She became financially stable, and with time, she and Justin decided to marry. On the day of her wedding, Peter sat quietly, looking at his daughter in her dress. He whispered, "Your mother would be so proud today." Alina touched his hand and said, "I hope she can see us from above." Peter nodded with tears. "She can, and she is smiling." After marriage, Justin and Alina built their own home, but they never left Peter behind. He lived with them. He was not the strong businessman anymore, but he was a father who had finally learned the meaning of love. One evening, Peter sat with Alina and Justin. He said softly, "I made many mistakes. I chased false love. I ignored true love. But today I know the truth. Family is the only love that stays till the end." Alina held his hand and whispered, "Yes, Dad. That is the love I will never take away from you." Tears rolled down his face, but this time they were not only of regret, they were also of peace. He knew he was forgiven. Years passed. Alina and Justin built a happy life. Peter spent his last years with them, cared for and respected. When he looked at his daughter, he often said, "You were my strength when I was weak. You were my light when I was in darkness." And every time he said it, Alina's heart softened. She thought, "I lost my mother. I lost my father for a time, but in the end, I got him back. I got his love back." The story closed with the truth that could not be denied. False love fades, but the love of family is forever. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our channel, learn English by stories.